Welcome to a fireside chat with Lombardi Sweep. I noticed last week we started a little hot. We started the season out a little hot. That's not what we're looking to do here. We're just here to talk calmly, to talk. We're very pro Packers, pro everything the Packers are doing. Aaron Rodgers, what a prima donna over there in the Jets. You know what I mean? So we have a lot of thoughts to share with you. If you're coming over from the radio spot from WDUZ this week, this is Zach Bruner, obviously, that you heard over there. Well behaved, well tamed. Trevor Land's in the middle. Luke Reimer's on the right. And this is just what the Lombardi Sweep is, right? Isn't that right, guys? Isn't that right, Trevor?
Since podcasts have become the new form of fireside chats, imagine showing that to FDR now. What do you think he would think?
I think he still can't walk.
Yeah,
that's probably foremost on his mind. Polio's got to be up there on his priorities.
Yeah, he was kind of the inventor of podcasts.
I thought you were gonna say polio. Well, podcast too.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
FDR also obsessed with the Curse of Oak Island, so not much unlike me. You know what I mean? I'm sort of the FDR of this show.
Yeah.
I hate FDR. People who know me are like, wow, Zach's being weird right now. Yeah. Okay. So fuck the Packers, love Aaron Rodgers, and fuck FDR. He can't walk. He sucks. Most overrated president of all time.
Didn't even finish the war.
No. I'm not an FDR guy. What can I say? Teddy till I die. Teddy Roosevelt's the fucking man.
Yeah, he is.
Anyone who gets shot in the middle of a speech tells everyone, quiet, I've been shot. And then it takes more than a bullet to kill a bull moose as he shows his gun wound. Right. Fucking stud. This is a guy. Oh, God. He should be owner of the Green Bay fucking Packers. Get Teddy Roosevelt in our front office.
Well, you know what I don't understand? FDR gets all the credit for winning the war. Truman dropped the bombs.
Exactly. Yeah. You think FDR would have had the cojones to do that?
Right. He was Mariano Rivera in the World War II.
And to make it better for Teddy Roosevelt, that speech is in Milwaukee. We all know damn well he didn't need to be there. He didn't want to be there. He did it anyways. Man of the people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course it happened in Wisconsin, as everything good has, as all the good people have come from Wisconsin. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Wisconsin.
Brian Gutekunst,
Wisconsin. Dahmer. Good. Yeah. He's not born in Wisconsin, right?
I don't know. He's a lacrosse grad.
Don't remind me.
That's too close for comfort.
It sure is. Okay. Anyway, so we're coming up on preseason week 1 this week. The Packers are playing the Bengals some Friday night lights. There's some joint practices going on this week. Packers reporters are getting all giddy because there's some chirping back and forth. They've never seen that before. What was going on through your mind, Elton Jenkins? I think somebody asked him. Someone who's probably never been out of football field, been in a fight, anything like that. Stupidest of all time. Packers continue to hold the crown. But we got some takeaways. There is the unofficial, official depth chart release that we can talk about. And we'll talk about some specific battles that we are looking forward to watching in the preseason game on Friday. But I guess I'll just start with Jordan Love is expected to play a couple series, which is good. Yep. I would have been upset if that wasn't going to be the case. Obviously, they have joint practices this week, so a lot of times when there's joint practices, that means we'll see the starters play no snaps or very few snaps. I think that'll be the case for, the Jair Alexanders of the world, the Kenny Clarks, the people who truly have absolutely nothing to prove. There's no timing. There's nothing that they need to work out. So I would say a lot of defensive playmakers not expected to see. Rashawn Gary's practicing. Don't expect to see him during the preseason game. Bakhtiari's not going to be out there.
No Devondre.
No. Yeah, there's no reason to play those guys. But Jordan Love, truly, he needs as many snaps as he can possibly get. So he'll be out there for a couple series. And, oh, by the way, the offense has been pretty bad. So, he needs to, not just him, LaFleur, everybody needs to be doing a lot, I think. So I'm happy to see that he's going to be playing. He'll be playing against, the 2s, the 3s of the Bengals. So, which is good for his confidence because, he needs some sort of success, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to see defenses too.
Yeah. In full speed.
Yeah.
like, I guess taking anything away from practices, you can't really do it. Like, I know there's a lot of people who are showing out in practices and stuff like that. It's not a game environment, even if they are going 100% still practice. So I'm happy to see Jordan Love suiting up. I don't expect to see him past the first quarter. There's a strong chance he doesn't even finish the first quarter. I think week 2, which I believe is against the Patriots, will be more of when I think we'll see Jordan Love.
Probably a quarter, I would assume.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess from joint practice today we're recording this Wednesday night. If you're listening to this after the fact, just know you can join us live 8 p.m. Central, the Florida Sports YouTube channel, Twitch channel, Facebook channel. So you can jump in the chat, talk to us, and all that good stuff. So today, first day in Cincinnati, they did 11 on 11. They did live red zone as well. And the main takeaway is that both offenses were stonewalled. It was a 0-0. Both offenses looked pretty terrible. And a lot of Packer fans are saying, damn, that means we got a good defense, right? Like, that means we are absolutely balling out. The Bengals had one of the best offenses in the league last year. And I think a lot of people are forgetting or possibly failing to report that Joe Burrow's not in there. And I would say, I don't even know who their backup is. It's not McCarron anymore.
Simeon.
Trevor Siemian. Yeah. So I think going from Burrow to Simeon's a slight downgrade.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, but it's still a pretty bad downgrade. So
yeah, nothing like Bally Sports. I mean, Fox Sports and Bally Sports.
True. That's tough. But I mean, good news is Packers defense didn't give up points. I guess there's something to take away from that.
Yeah. My initial reaction from both like offenses getting stonewalled, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right, in practice, like, because defense just needs to react to the offense. It feels like offense is kind of more of the let's try something to see if it works right now. That didn't work. Let's try something off of it. It feels like a lot of trial and error, whereas defense is just go full speed. That's always been my thought through training camps. So it makes sense why both offenses haven't been great today.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Zach Taylor call their plays on offense?
Yeah.
So Zach Taylor calls plays for the Bengals and Matt LaFleur calls plays for the Packers. The one season he didn't have Aaron Rodgers, his offense was 27th, 28th. So
yeah, not great. I mean, you're right, Luke, especially early on training camp, defenses are, further ahead, see ball, get ball. That's what they're trying to do. And the Joe Barry defense doesn't develop much further from that anyway. So we're kind of already in mid-season form. But still, like 11 on 11, that's fine to not have any scores. But we did red zone too.
Yeah.
And nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we get 3 kicks with our blind kicker. Misses the first one. Boom, confidence builder. Then he hits the second 2, I believe. But I mean, I don't think he's had a single day where he's been 100%.
No, and it's kind of interesting to think about like the Packers red zone offense this year as a whole, right? Like it's probably gonna have to be a lot of Aaron Jones. I mean, if for whatever reason AJ Dillon doesn't bust through the line, it's really hard for me to believe Christian Watson is going to go up and play physical on the red zone. I don't know if that means Romeo Dobbs slants or whatever, but it feels like it has to be a lot of Aaron Jones in the red zone this year.
If Luke Musgrave can trust his hands a little bit.
Yeah.
And if he can start, squeezing the ball, like he's going to be a great red zone threat. But I mean, right now, obviously inconsistent, which is to be expected.
He is awesome in one-on-ones.
For sure. Again, we shouldn't be taking much away from one-on-ones. Right. But he's still great though. AJ Dillon, to your point, that he doesn't run through anything really. He said today he wants to play more physical. He wants to play more.
I like that.
That's great. I'm glad he decided that.
Yeah.
So, and then there's
where was it the first 4 years, AJ?
Well, just fucking play football. Like, figure it out. Quit. Oh, I'm the mayor of Dorcounty. Yeah, squeezing watermelons with his fucking thigh. Who cares? Run the football. Right. That's all I want to see you do. You stupid bitch. But then we got him holding court apparently after practice, and all the Packers reporters are super like, I'm done. AJ Dillon's just Rashawn Gary to me. Fucking do it. Just play. Just play, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
What's the point of having those giant ass quads if you're just going to shy away from contact?
Just lower your shoulder. Just run. Just run. I don't need to see you avoid a tackle at all. I just want to see you run through one person.
Just don't even lower your shoulder. Just run straight. Nobody's going to tackle you if you run straight and fast.
Or have the self-awareness to say, no, LaFleur, I think Aaron Jones should be in there because he is much better at football than me.
Yeah.
That would have let the Packers, make the playoffs last year. Like legitimately, we want to forget that A.J. Dillon cost the Packers their season. But we were there. We saw it.
They should have destroyed the Lions that game.
Yeah. Like we need to stop. We need to stop with A.J. Dillon. Contract year. He's for sure getting re-signed.
Yep.
There's no doubt in my mind. But boy, it'd be funny if he wasn't. I want to see him go to another team and he becomes the mayor of another team.
Send him to Chicago. That'd be really funny.
Go for it. Like any team. I really do.
Or he could go to Detroit and say he's the mayor of the UP.
That's kind of funny. But still, like we need to stop. We need to stop. In terms of training camp, well, let's talk about the depth chart because there's a couple interesting spots on it. So I'll just read the starters quickly. Obviously, Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, starters in the backfield there. A.J. Dillon's running back 2. Wide receivers, not especially surprising. We got Watson, Dobbs as the 2 outside guys. But then Torres listed as the starter over Jaden Reed. I take nothing from this. Maybe you can take something from it, but I don't think the Packers are going to list that rookie there anyway.
Nope.
Even if he was starter. But I mean, seniority, I guess, because I think Torres is still the oldest wide receiver in the room, which is kind of wild for last season's 7th round draft pick.
I don't think it's particularly close either.
For age?
I should fact check that before I say something wrong.
You might not be wrong. Like, I don't know the age of, Cody Crest. Who's also on the team. I don't know those guys.
Care about those guys. Okay.
He's a rookie.
Torres 25, Watson's 24. I thought Torres was 26.
He plays 26.
Yeah.
That's what they say about him. So you were right about that. Offensive line, we got Bakhtiari Jenkins as the 2 on the left. Myers is currently listed as the center. We got Runyon, right guard, Zach Tom, right tackle. And so the big question would be, would you rather have Tom at center and Nijman at right tackle, or would you rather have Myers at center and Tom at right tackle? I was on the radio. Eric, who also writes for Let's Go Wisconsin, he stepped in for, I believe it was Marcus Eversole this week at WDUZ. He's hosted there, and he invited me on to talk about this in particular. And his question was, and I think he was on the other side of it first, like he was thinking he'd rather have Tom at center and Nijman at right tackle. So, I mean, you guys can answer what you think as well. My personal opinion is, one, I don't think the Packers have a good right tackle candidate because they just didn't address it this offseason. But I think the downgrade, I think the Packers are better off having Myers at center and Zach Tom at right tackle than having Tom at center and Nijman at right tackle. I think if you're going best 5 linemen available, I think Myers is probably the 5th best lineman. It's for sure not Nijman.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zach. I'm in the mindset more of, Josh Myers hasn't been great. I think it's a little easier to hide someone who hasn't been great at center than it is at right tackle. Which Josh Nijman, for everyone who's saying he's great, Josh Nijman has not been great the last 2 or 3 years.
Correct. Yeah, I think my exact words were, if I'm putting one player on an island, I guess I'd rather put Zach Tom on an island.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think Running's a pretty solid player, but he's also playing directly next to Jenkins, talking about Myers right now. So if you don't want him to, there will never be a snap really that he has to block somebody one-on-one.
Right.
Which, again, haters on Twitter, you can come at me about my take on Creed Humphrey for that reason as well. People a little upset with me. Eddie Lacy, right tackle comeback, says, Curry, thanks for joining us again. Jaden Reed, Antonio Brown. That's interesting.
Facts.
Now, or Luke, are you ready? Like, is this Oakland Antonio Brown?
No,
for you, Luke, or no?
Jaden Reed's going to finish with more receiving yards than Antonio Brown.
This year?
Nope. Yeah, no. When their careers are done.
Interesting.
Yep.
Maybe.
Write it down, Trevor. Luke's 15-year guarantee.
That's very
I'm
optimistic that he plays 15 years.
Yep.
I'm not wasting the paper.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Other offensive stuff. We got Luke Musgrave as the tight end 1. Not surprising. He's the only, or I guess there's 2 rookies listed as starters, the other one being Anders Carlson at kicker, but he has no backup. But Luke Musgrave is listed as tight end 1. Tyler Davis listed as tight end 2. People upset by that. And a little bit surprising, Packers have a fullback on the roster this year listed for the depth chart, and they have Josiah DeGuara there, which makes me very, very happy. Because if you remember from last season, Packers used DeGuara finally at fullback for 1 game. He thrived, and then they never did it again.
Yep.
It was very, very odd, even for a team that's notably incompetent. Like, I'm not sure why they did that, but if DeGuara is playing fullback, like, clearly we're going to run the football.
Yep.
Like, I think that's good.
It's a good thing, right? I agree. To add on to that, I was at camp last week. Probably nothing to read into this. Packers were doing a lot of sweeps, a lot of jets kind of stuff. Tyler Davis was setting an edge, man. It looked fine. And I'm sure this coaching, like, there's been a reason he's been on this team for a while. We haven't figured that out yet. There's a reason that he'll be on the team for another 2 years.
I hope not. So him being listed as tight end 2, he's the inline tight end. He's there for his blocking.
Mm-hmm.
He possibly is a more developed blocker than Kraft right now. Clearly, Kraft has more upside. Like, I don't think even the biggest Tyler Davis believers would dispute that. But I think we'll see quite a few 2 tight end sets out of the Packers. I think Tyler Davis is going to be used way more than Packer fans will hope, but it's going to be as a blocker.
Yeah.
And especially if Zach Tom is playing right tackle, I think we're going to see a lot of Tyler Davis lined up directly next to him.
Yep.
Don't know if that's good. Not sure. But yeah, seeing DeGuara at fullback makes me excited that he has at least a role. I think he's very capable of playing that role. That's the role he was drafted to play, and then they decided not to do it. So that was interesting. I hope we see a full house backfield this year. I think that makes a lot of sense out of the Packers. Anything else offensively? There's a lot of younger wide receivers that really, they're all younger, but other wide receivers that we haven't seen anything from. So it's not even worth really talking about.
I was going to say, I don't know how much it really matters. Packers have 4 young guys that they absolutely need on their team that aren't going to play in preseason. So you're going to chase a 5th, 6th wide receiver spot is really all we're looking for in preseason here.
Yeah. That quarterback 2 spot, I guess we can talk about.
Yeah.
Danny Etling cut. So Alex Magoo, USFL MVP, two-time USFL champion.
Passing leader.
Yeah, he survives the cut, and that's good. I'm biased. I like Magoo quite a bit on and off the field, but he is just as mobile, probably more mobile than Danny Etling. He can throw the football. He's currently listed as quarterback 3, Sean Clifford, quarterback 2. And this is what I'll say. And I don't think he's going to be given a chance. However, do you agree?
I agree that, yeah. Sorry.
However, if anyone cared about the USFL last season, talking about season 1 of the comeback to the USFL, Alex Magoo was the backup for Birmingham. He served as the backup for the majority of the season at Jamar Smith. Incredible, really helped him, prepare for weeks. He stepped in. They used him as a mobile role, Taysom Hill-esque. So he, went in thinking he was going to be the starter, playing for his former coach, accepted his new role playing backup and thrived in that role, in my personal opinion. Went in the championship game, won the championship. I think he is mature and good enough to do the exact same thing with Green Bay. Like, I think he would be perfect to serve as a backup quarterback. And just for me, hoping he at least makes the team, like, he's mobile enough to give the Packers those looks when they play the mobile quarterbacks as well, which is very important to have. So I think Magoo absolutely should be the quarterback too.
Yeah, this doesn't matter much, but when the offense is doing all the up downs, I mean, Magoo is the first one down and first one up every time.
Well, and what does Clifford get you that Magoo doesn't? Like Clifford, I mean, really, he's never been anything special at Penn State. He's never been the reason for their success, in my opinion, and he's a rookie. I mean, I know Magoo hasn't exactly been a backup in the NFL for a lot, but to your point, he's a mature guy. He's been in professional sports before. Why would Clifford be better than him? I know we're going to keep Clifford because we drafted him. That would be suicide by Goot, and he's not going to do it. But I don't think there's a single thing that Clifford does better than Magoo.
Yeah.
I don't think there will be.
Yeah, to your point, Trevor, there, I hope this doesn't turn into another situation where we have to ride Sean Clifford for 4 years because Brian Gutekunst drafted him in the 5th round.
Yeah, I completely agree. It feels like a Hundley experience.
Yeah.
Like we just keep him around. To me, the only reason to keep Clifford at quarterback 2 is showing that you don't have confidence in Jordan Love. And what I mean by that is that they see that there could possibly be a future with Clifford if Jordan Love doesn't work out. Again, going back to last week's comment from Mark Murphy saying they're going to give Jordan Love a half a season to see if he can be the starter. If he doesn't look good in the first half of the season, they're not going to go to Magoo. Like they would go to
the guy they drafted.
Yeah. Which makes no sense. And maybe we're biased, but I just don't think Clifford's any good.
I mean, well, he's not good. And then so you give Love what he's had 3 years, and then you give him 6 games, and you expect Clifford to show you anything in 6 games and a half year? That doesn't make any sense.
No, makes no sense.
This is all a very avoidable situation too.
You don't say. Everything. I feel like the entirety of Lombardi Sweep that we've been doing a show. I feel like that could be the tagline for anything we've said. Because truly, every bad thing that's happened could have been avoidable.
I mean, we should very easily be going into the season with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, questioning if we have enough to get over the hump finally.
Yeah.
Here we are dicking around talking about whether Sean fucking Clifford should start for us week 8. Wild times, man.
Crazy. By the way, kind of rooting for Sean Clifford to start week 8 because I mean that would tell me at least we got an early draft pick.
Let me see who he's playing week 8 first.
Yeah, check it out. Or do we have a week 7 bye? Am I completely wrong?
We play the Vikings at home.
When's our bye?
Give me a second.
Curry says Jordan Love is Hundley, and
I think he's better than Hundley.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a scarily accurate comparison. He's better. I think he looks better. Hundley looks terrible.
Yeah.
So
not to say I'm pretty, but
so our bye is week 6. Okay. And then we go to Denver. I want Clifford to start that game at Denver. I think that would be very funny. But then we have Minnesota for week 8, Los Angeles week 9, at Pittsburgh week 10. That would also be very funny to throw in Sean Clifford.
Back to Pennsylvania for sure. Do we don't play Tennessee this year, do we?
We do not. We got spanked by them last year instead.
Derrick Henry threw a touchdown on us.
There's not going to be a Will Levis versus Jordan Love or versus Clifford game unless it's the Super Bowl, which would also be that's a fever dream. Could you imagine? That'd be fun. I will say this. I think there's a large conversation right now about is the quarterback 2 for the Packers on the roster?
Yeah.
So when I was talking about Magoo, I think that's mostly me speaking as I think he should be the quarterback 2 no matter what.
Yeah. The thing is, go ahead.
Yeah, go. No, you go.
I was going to say, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here. You're about to bring this up. I think for this quarterback room, there needs to be some sort of experience, right? They have one start between 3 guys in the room right now.
There should be, but I could say that about multiple position rooms on this roster.
Fair.
Like, it's inexcusable to not have any experience in the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
That's like one of the only wide receiver room. It's the only wide receiver room in the NFL, with that being the case.
Yep.
It makes no sense.
Crazy.
Matt Ryan, no.
No, never.
Blake Bortles,
Ryan
I'll be convinced.
Fitzpatrick, get his ass. I want him another team for Immaculate Grid. It would be awesome to see the man with the beard in the green and gold.
I mean, I'd root for it, but
I mean, I told you guys, I wrote up a story for the paper about backup quarterbacks, and I snuck Joe Flacco's name in there.
give me Joe. I'm fine with Joe Flacco. That'd be cool. But the Packers will for sure have 3 quarterbacks this year.
Yep.
At a minimum, and because I want to remind people the 49ers quarterback rule, where that third quarterback won't count against your active game day roster, but will be suited up. So even if we roll into this, this being the final roster right now, talking about offense, like Magoo will be dressed on game day. He won't count against the active roster, and that's good. There's a chance the Packers go 3 quarterbacks and then a 4th. With that being the situation, I know 49ers are probably going to do that. However, as I said on the other show this week too, like I think the Packers are going to use this extra spot because obviously we had like 3 quarterbacks in the past, and I don't know why we did that. We'll use that extra spot that we had last few years filled for that second kicker. Like I think that's where Mason Crosby's going to be. Anders Carlson's going to be the kickoff guy. Crosby's going to be the place kicker specialist, I suppose. And I think by week 4 that will probably happen, but is what it is. Moving on to defense, pretty straightforward, I would say, until the secondary. So starters, we got Kenny Clark, we got Tadaro Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Preston Smith, and then Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary. Backing up those guys, we got a bunch of rookies on the defensive line, and Jonathan Ford somehow snuck his name on there. Kingsley Enagbare is listed with the 3s. Makes me a little upset with that. Linebackers, we got McDuffie and Eric Wilson backing up the inside guys. Justin Hollins is the backup outside guy behind Rashawn Gary. That's another Gutekunst guy. I'm not sure why we're doing that. And then we go to the secondary, starting cornerbacks right now. We got Jair, Rasul, and then Keyshawn Nixon's playing the nickel role. We talked about him a little bit last week, I believe, but Ennis Gaines is listed as the backup for that slot role. Other cornerbacks, we got Corey Ballantyne and Carrington Valentine. So Ballantyne and Valentine, who have both been looking pretty good from what I've heard. Shamar John Charles, obviously lower in that. Eric Stokes probably will be on PUP or IR to begin the year, so he won't count against the roster there, but we'll have to figure it out once he gets cleared, I suppose. Safeties, we got Darnell Savage as the starter. Rudy Ford is listed as the other starter. However, the past several days, we've seen Jonathan Owens mix in a lot for that other starting safety spot. And then it's probably right now the other safety backup is Tavarius Moore. I don't know about that. Levitt, I think, will mix in there, possibly earn that job. I'm a big fan of Anthony Johnson Jr. Hopefully he can mix in there. But that's the defense, is relatively straightforward. Safety is obviously a massive question mark. I'm just not sure why people are ignoring that.
Yep.
Like people are like, oh, good, we found our safeties.
Yeah, there's still optimism in Darnell Savage. That's why.
I guess. Well, people are really talking up Rudy Ford too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. Savage always gets hurt. Jonathan Owens, he's from the Foye Luakun school of just get a bunch of tackles when people think you're amazing. Rudy Ford, I don't get. Tarvarius Moore is a 6-year. He's never really done anything. Anthony Johnson, I like, but then, I mean, if Darnell Savage goes out more than, his usual once a game for weeks at a time, like our third safety is now really short.
And I mean, Adrian Amos covered up a lot of hurt. Like, he's a very, very good football player. He did a lot of things that weren't, in the box score, weren't announced by the broadcasters. Like, he was everywhere. He's a very, very, very good football player who has just gone from this defense. And, in a Joe Barry defense where everyone's allowed to float, allowed to play outside their assignment, Amos is one of the players who absolutely thrived in just being a football player, using his instincts. And now we have a lot of really inexperienced people in the secondary who are going to be saying, trust your instincts. And, obviously that could go very, very, very wrong. Obviously. Could it go right? Sure. But I just don't know how we look at this defense and we just feel like, oh, top 5 unit in the NFL. I just don't get that.
Yep.
But a lot of people are thinking that.
False optimism. I'm with you.
Well, I mean, even if they do, even if this roster was good, even if you believe in this roster, Joe Barry's still calling the shots. So
yeah,
why does it matter?
Yeah, alignment, assignment, all of that with Joe Barry has been very, very. I'm skeptical of what I've seen so far in training camp. Obviously, we're trying different stuff. There's a chance players are doing wrong things, but from what I've seen, reason for concern once again. I will say before I get into maybe people we want to watch on defense this week, Joe Barry's making the move up to the box this year. He's been on the sideline a lot. He's going to be calling plays from the box, it sounds like, for sure this week, possibly for the entire season. I'm not against defensive coordinators being in the box whatsoever. I think it could help see the field. Clearly, he wasn't seeing the field very well on the sideline. I will say the one positive, in my opinion, of Joe Barry is his energy, which immediately is taken away if he's in the box.
Well, that, and, I've always thought like being in the box, it's much easier to figure out what's going on with face-to-face communication at an instant,
Sure. Like the box is good for the people who are like the masterminds. If you can see it, you can draw it up. And Joe Barry isn't that.
Right.
So like it just doesn't really make sense for him to be the one up there. I think there should be multiple defensive people up there, which there are, but the people, the position coaches, the secondary coaches especially should be the ones up there telling Barry, like, this is what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. We don't need Joe Barry up. Maybe they'll be good, but I don't, not to be a hater, but truly, like, it takes away his biggest strength. It really does.
Well, and I mean, on top of all that, we're rebuilding. The Packers are retooling, whatever you want to call it.
Losing.
Why is Joe Barry here if his best asset is gone and we're rebuilding anyways and our defense has been shit? Why are we giving him another chance? I don't understand.
I mean, the silver lining is this is for sure his last chance, just because of how much Packers analysts, reporters, and the team have really built up this defense. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone's looking around, and again, I hate measuring people like this, but they're saying, look at all the first round draft picks, which honestly doesn't mean anything if you can't draft first round very well. However, there's a lot of first round draft picks, a lot of potential. Potential gets you fired. This defense has the most potential of any in the NFL, according to people talking about the NFL. So if it doesn't perform as a top 5 unit, Joe Barry's gone. He's the scapegoat this year, for sure.
Yep. I agree. All the people saying, look at all the top, number 1 picks. Look at all the top number 1 picks. The last 15 years, the Packers never had a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, are we feeling super good if we get Eric Stokes back? He's a first-round draft pick.
Where does Eric Stokes play?
Just like Rashawn Gary. We're better with them on the bench. Numbers don't lie.
Yes, sorry about it. I'm not sure what to say. I'll just name the positions because I assume most people won't know names. I'm going to name the positions of people who are going to be in the box this Friday for the Packers in terms of coaches. Again, we got Joe Barry, but then we got an assistant offensive line coach. And I want you guys to just say your thoughts after I name the positions at the very end. So we got defensive coordinator, assistant offensive line coach, assistant quarterback coach, defensive quality control coach, defensive backs, offensive quality control, defensive quality control, and offensive quality control. That's who's going to be in the box for the Packers, potentially for the season if it goes well. Thoughts?
Interesting. I mean, we talked ad nauseum right there about Joe Barry being in the box. Quarterback coaching being in the box is kind of interesting. Like, I understand it. You get a quarterback coach up there. With the lack of experience at quarterback, it kind of feels like you should have as much communication immediately as you possibly can. other than offensive line is, it's nice to get someone's eyes in the air, but that's another position where I feel like it's just constant communication. And I'm in the boat where I don't love coaches in boxes for that reason alone.
I think that I don't know nearly as much about offensive line as you two do, but offensive line coach in the booth is a pretty big red flag to me. I feel like that's maybe one of the most, at least from my opinion, where you need face-to-face communication and to kind of talk it out on the sidelines. I mean, am I wrong there? Or?
You're right. For both of those, they're the assistant. So it's the assistant offensive line, assistant quarterback. So
Right.
actual quarterback coach, actual O-line coach are still on the sideline. But
I'm sorry, before you go, I'm in the mind, like, especially for preseason, I think I want all my coaches on the field.
There's a lot of good to have people in the box.
That's an interest, and I don't know if there's a way to measure it or anything, but that's an interesting study. If someone could figure out what works better, figure out some kind of conclusion from that being on the box compared to being on the field.
But you have to have eyes from different angles,
of course,
because there's just stuff you can't see. I mean,
of course,
yeah. So you have to have people. However, like my big thing here is somebody tell me what Stenovich does.
Not much.
If you're an offensive coordinator who's not calling plays, get your fucking ass in the booth.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want all these assistants up in the booth, not even assistant coaches, the assistant to the assistant up in the box telling us what they see. Like, we need to have a legit offensive coach up there. And there's very few legit offensive coaches on this team, on the staff to begin with. He needs to be up there. He's the one guy who, out of any coach on this entire staff that needs to be in the box, it has to be Stenovich. It has to. I mean, fine. Like, LaFleur will still call a challenge frog if he's up there.
Right. Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Right, his role is not what every other offense coordinator in NFL's role is. But you're right. Like, he's your number one offensive guy. It makes sense if he's not needed on the field, put him up. Yeah, I'm with you.
Like, who's the top offensive coach in the box? It might be Rob Grasso, offensive quality control.
Probably.
I guess, but not really. Like, the next best would be.
You're right, Zach. You need someone up there making decisions.
Yeah, like, truly, is for the most part, it's like the inexperienced. It's the guys who fucking twiddle their thumbs, including Joe Barry. Let's sit him under the booth so we can get some work done on the field. That's what it feels like.
Yeah,
and that's not winning football either. Obviously, this is week 1 of the preseason. If it doesn't work, we'll change stuff up.
Yep,
I would assume, but. Boy, it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
In terms of defensive things I want to see, I'd like to see those younger defensive linemen.
I was going to say defensive line too, because we know how much Kenny Clark does for that defensive line. Someone is going to have to spell him, and I think there is a competition for that behind Kenny Clark here.
Massive one.
Yep.
I mean, they drafted especially Wooden and Carl Brooks.
Yeah.
We need to figure out what they do.
Yeah. Well, I think we still need to figure out what Tadarius Slayton and Devontae Wyatt do too.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trevor, what's your thoughts?
I'm most interested in safety. I'm not sold on Savage, and I'm definitely not sold on Ford. I want to see what Anthony Johnson and Jonathan Owens look like. I don't think there's a very high bar that they have to hit to arguably be near the top safeties. I'm not saying they should be starters, but I mean, if Anthony Johnson is looking good, I mean, there should be no reason he couldn't be a second safety to start the season. I'm not saying he will. I think they're going to roll with Rudy Ford, but I mean, if the safeties look bad in preseason behind those top two, I mean, kiss the season goodbye unless we get to the quarterback in 0.2 seconds.
I'm interested to see just how much Savage plays in the preseason.
Yeah.
Because just on paper, he feels like a guy that shouldn't be playing. Like, it's a guy who has a lot of experience as a starter, and he leaves games injured all the time. And why would we throw him out there?
And he needs to be a part of the defense to succeed this year.
Kinda. Yeah. I mean, he did get benched last year, but like, it doesn't feel like there's a better option. However, that's not to say he doesn't have a lot to prove. So it's It's a confusing situation. Yeah, for sure.
Weird spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think we shouldn't see him Friday. That's what my hope and belief will be. But let's just say a Anthony Johnson, a Levitt shine. They look very, very good. That's when it's like, oh, we need to have Savage playing the preseason to see if he can do that too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see like a whole half against New England, to be honest.
Yeah, truly. Like we need to see all of these guys, but especially that back end.
Yeah,
have to do it. The good news is we play the Bears week 1, and there's a chance we can have our safeties play 7 yards off the football, and it's going to be fine.
And still have
Justin Fields.
Yeah, and still have 3 interceptions.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Special teams again, Anders Carlson. It's inspirational to see somebody like him out there starting for an NFL team. That's about all I can say about him. No backup, but he's a starter for now. Congrats. Pat O'Donnell obviously is the punter. He doesn't kick off. Great. Keyshawn Nixon, obviously the returner. The backup returner, they currently have Jaden Reed on both punts and kicks.
Yep.
And Torre is on third string punts, and we got Goodson, third string kick. Obviously, Goodson is competing for that third running back spot this year as well. If he looks really good and is valuable as a returner, I think that's a good reason for him to earn that third running back spot as well.
Yeah, I would guess we probably see a lot of him returning throughout the preseason, right?
Yeah, no reason to have Nixon back there even one time.
Right. I don't think that we'll see Jaden Reed. I don't think there's a huge reason to have Jaden Reed back there either.
I'm not convinced he's a starter though. So
I mean I am.
I and that's not me showing my belief in Torre. Quite the opposite.
That's me showing my disbelief in Torre.
Fair. That's fair. Long snapper, we got Orzek for now. Nothing to say.
That'll change, and we'll miss 18 field goals. And let's fire Bisaccia.
Yeah. Can't wait. It'll be fun. What's your number one thing you're looking for on Friday, minus Jordan Love?
I mean, it's hard for me not to say the quarterbacks. It seems kind of set in stone, like we kind of went over, that Sean Clifford is probably going to be the backup this year, and Magoo, he'll find his way along. But like I said before, there's no experience in this quarterback room. Quarterback's the most interesting position in sports. It's the most important position in sports. It's I don't know. You guys watch all these preseason games. I love watching, these shitty quarterbacks in preseason, and this is the only time you ever get to see what they have. So I'm in on backup quarterbacks.
For me, I want to see defensive line pressure. I mean, I've been wanting to see it for years. Really the number one thing I want to see overall is Kenny Clark pressure. And I understand first game of preseason, like that's not going to happen here. We know that. But so with him out, I just want to see the rest of the defensive line. Because guess what? If Kenny Clark has a year like last year, again, a lot of things can derail a season. If he plays like last year, team's screwed as well. If they can't get more pressure. So I'm going to be looking at those guys, especially Carl Brooks that we've talked about a lot out of Bowling Green.
Yeah, I'm interested to see just where they play Carl Brooks, just because he's one of those guys where I feel like he does a lot of things okay and nothing very good. So they need to find a role for him. I'm interested to see where him and Wooden both line up. I think Wooden's clearly ahead of him, but it'll be interesting. I'm kind of most excited to see Royce Newman line up next to Jake Hansen.
Oh boy.
And they might come to the line of scrimmage facing the wrong direction. There's a chance. That's going to be, man, I didn't even think about this until now. Poor Magoo.
Yeah.
Those are the guys blocking for him. Well, that really sucks. I didn't even think about that. Oh no. Hopefully we get Clifford in there for the majority of those. Just see if he can get stepped on, fall over like we had with multiple quarterbacks of ours last year.
Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers included.
Yeah, that was something. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
I don't think so. On our fantasy football show, Randy asked us will we compete in the 4th of July hot dog eating contest, and we didn't answer, and I absolutely would. I think I could do 12 in 10 minutes.
Really?
Yep.
I don't with buns.
Yep.
I don't think you could.
I think I could. I think I could do a whole pack. Well, 2 whole packs, I guess. 2 6-packs.
I mean, is that something we have to do for content when we get together?
Yeah.
Please no.
Like I don't think
all it is
I don't
6 double
think so.
dogs.
That's not all. Don't say all like that. It's more than nothing.
I don't think that, Luke.
No,
I don't think so. Man.
I think it's easier than you guys think.
No. How many times do you eat 12 hot dogs, Luke?
Well, I've never sat down and eaten 12 hot dogs in my life.
If you could do.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Oh, here he is.
You're back. You're back. You're back.
Oh, no. Am I here?
You're here.
Hurry up.
Goodbye.